McLaren have left everyone with their mouths open in race simulations in Bahrain, and Ferrari are in trouble. How is it possible that Norris can take almost half a second per lap off Leclerc? Is this real or just a preseason illusion? Before I tell you, tell me in the comments. Do you think McLaren can fight Red Bull this year? Because the numbers don't lie, and what's coming will surprise you. McLaren have left Ferrari in the dust in race simulations in Bahrain, where the real-life performance differences between the cars can be analyzed more accurately. In these tests, the teams complete a race distance without refueling, allowing fuel management, aerodynamic efficiency and real-world pace to be accurately assessed without the influence of varying fuel loads. During these simulations, Lando Norris, driving the MCL39, set lap times consistently faster than those of his direct rivals. On average, McLaren was 0.46 seconds per lap faster than Andrea Kimi Antonelli in the Mercedes W16. But the real surprise came with Ferrari. Not only was Charles Leclerc 0.47 seconds per lap behind Norris, he even had a slightly slower pace than Antonelli himself. If these times are projected to a full race, McLaren would end up with an advantage of approximately 24 seconds over Ferrari. This difference is huge in terms of performance and raises serious questions about Ferrari's true potential for the season. This is not just a quick lap in a qualifying session, but a sustained deficit in race pace, which is a clear indication of structural problems in the Scuderia's car. This result contrasts with expectations prior to the preseason. Ferrari arrived with the intention of getting closer to Red Bull and consolidating itself as the second-best team, but in these simulations it has been relegated behind McLaren and with serious problems defending itself from Mercedes. The situation is worrying because the simulation conditions were homogeneous for all the teams. Without the intervention of DRS and with equivalent fuel loads, the times reflect the true aerodynamic and mechanical performance of each car. For Ferrari, the lack of speed and the deficit of almost half a second per lap cannot be explained solely by a bad setup on a single day. They indicate that the SF24 could be facing problems of aerodynamic efficiency, loss of traction or a general lack of balance that prevents it from maximizing performance on long runs. On the other hand, McLaren shows that its technical evolution has been successful. Not only has it improved its top speed and the stability of the car in high-speed corners, but it has also found an ideal balance between power and tire management. This mastery in race simulations is key, because it means that McLaren can maintain a strong pace throughout the competition, without relying exclusively on qualifying strategies or aggressive tire management. In the context of these tests, Ferrari needs to find answers quickly. Its current performance in race simulations is a warning sign for the season, especially if McLaren manages to maintain this advantage in the following tests and in the first races of the calendar. McLaren has made a significant improvement compared to last season, and the data from the race simulations in Bahrain make it clear that its car is one of the most competitive in race pace. The key question is what exactly has changed in the MCL39 to allow it to outperform Ferrari so convincingly and come close to Red Bull's performance. One of the determining factors is the aerodynamic development of the car. McLaren has optimized the design of the front end, improving the efficiency of the airflow and achieving a more stable balance in high-speed corners. This translates into less loss of grip and a greater ability to maintain tire performance throughout a full stint. In simple terms, while Ferrari struggles with an aerodynamic load that does not seem to generate enough stability on long runs, McLaren has found a way to maintain a high level of traction without sacrificing top speed. The data obtained from the race simulations in Bahrain have made it clear that McLaren has made a significant step forward and that Ferrari is facing a worrying scenario. The difference in pace observed in these tests is not a simple one-off variation or a bad setup on a single day of testing, but a trend that, if maintained, could redefine expectations for the season. McLaren has shown that its technical evolution has been effective. Not only has it managed to improve its top speed and balance in high-speed corners, but it has also managed to maintain a constant pace throughout the race simulation without suffering excessive tire degradation. The difference of almost half a second per lap with Ferrari and the closeness to Red Bull suggests that the Woking team is in a position to regularly challenge for podium positions and even compete for victories if the race circumstances favor it. Ferrari, on the other hand, finds itself in a complex situation. Although it has shown controlled tire degradation, its performance deficit in race pace is too great to be ignored. The accumulated difference of 24 seconds with McLaren in a full simulation is a clear warning that the SF24 is not up to what was expected and that the team needs to find urgent solutions if it does not want to be relegated in the fight for second place in the championship. Mercedes is also not exempt from this analysis, as its pace gap with McLaren has been similar to that of Ferrari, with a deficit of approximately 0.4 of a second per lap. This confirms that, at least in the conditions observed in Bahrain, McLaren has managed to position itself as the strongest team behind Red Bull and that the fight to be the main rival of the Austrian team could tip in its favor. There is still one day of testing before the teams finalize their preparation for the season, and the results could change if Ferrari and Mercedes manage to find last-minute improvements. However, what has been seen so far indicates that McLaren has managed to fine-tune its car with a precision that allows it to be in an unbeatable position for the start of the championship. The key now will be to see if this performance translates into the first races of the year or if Ferrari and Mercedes find solutions to reduce the gap. If McLaren maintains this trend, it could consolidate itself as the team that challenges Red Bull's hegemony and leaves Ferrari in a compromised situation. The question remains as to what will happen when the season starts and the teams face the pressure of real competition. If McLaren can sustain its performance and translate it into concrete results, it could become the star of the championship. On the other hand, if Ferrari finds an answer to its pace problems, it could still enter the fight and prevent McLaren from establishing itself as its main threat. The next few weeks will be decisive in defining how the season will develop and whether McLaren will be able to capitalize on this early advantage or whether Ferrari will be able to recover in time. Another key aspect of McLaren's performance is its ability to manage tire degradation. Although Ferrari showed less wear per lap, with a degradation of 0.034 seconds compared to 0.049 seconds for McLaren and Red Bull, this difference is not enough to compensate for the performance deficit of the SF24. McLaren has managed to find a balance where, despite greater wear, the overall speed of the car remains superior, allowing it to gain time on each lap without having to rely on a conservative tire strategy. Top speed efficiency has also been a key factor in this performance gap. In simulations without DRS, the MCL39 managed to overtake Ferrari on the finishing straight with an advantage of 4.4 km per hour. This not only reflects a better aerodynamic setup, but also an optimization of the engine's power delivery. On a track like Bahrain, where long straights play a fundamental role in the development of the race, this difference in top speed represents a significant advantage in defending and attacking during overtaking. The consistency of McLaren's pace throughout a full stint has also been a differentiating point. During the simulations, Lando Norris was able to maintain a stable performance over a 57-lap session, while Andrea Kimi Antonelli in the Mercedes had to stop after just 15 laps due to the high wear of his C2 tires. This reinforces the idea that McLaren has not only improved its speed in qualifying conditions, but has found the formula to manage the car in the race without suffering a drop in performance as the laps go by. Another factor to consider is the accuracy of data collection and strategy development. McLaren has worked with Pasitech to measure accurately down to the tenth of a second, allowing engineers to fine-tune every aspect of the car based on precise and detailed information. This collaboration has been key to optimizing the car's setup and fully exploiting its potential in different track conditions. When compared to Red Bull, McLaren's pace difference is just half a tenth per lap, indicating that the team has closed the gap to the reigning world champion. Ferrari and Mercedes, on the other hand, are at plus 0.35 and plus 0.4 seconds per lap, leaving them in a much less competitive position heading into the season. McLaren has not only managed to be faster than Ferrari, but has also shown that its development approach has yielded tangible results in terms of race pace, tire management and top speed. If it manages to maintain this level of performance in the following tests and at the start of the championship, it could consolidate itself as Red Bull's main rival and displace Ferrari as the second-best team on the grid. One of the most important aspects when analyzing the performance of the teams in preseason is the collection and comparison of data under controlled conditions. The race simulations in Bahrain have allowed key information to be extracted on the differences between the cars, eliminating external factors such as variability in weight due to fuel consumption or the influence of the DRS. One of the most revealing data is the comparison of top speeds between McLaren, Ferrari and Mercedes. Without the activation of the DRS, the MCL39 demonstrated a clear advantage on the main straight, reaching a maximum speed of 4.4 km per hour higher than Ferrari and 3.8 km per hour above Mercedes. This confirms that McLaren has found an efficient balance between aerodynamic load and drag, allowing it to reach higher speeds without compromising cornering. In terms of race strategy, this advantage is crucial both in defense and attack, as it facilitates overtaking without relying solely on the slipstream or the energy management of the hybrid system. Another key statistic is the difference in pace with respect to Red Bull, Ferrari and Mercedes in race conditions. McLaren was just half a tenth of a second per lap behind Red Bull, while Ferrari and Mercedes lagged behind with a deficit of plus 0.35 and plus 0.4 seconds respectively. This difference is significant, as it shows that McLaren has managed to close the gap with the dominant team of recent years, while Ferrari and Mercedes have fallen back in the fight for the lead. The collection of this data was carried out in collaboration with Pasatech, a company specializing in time measurement and performance analysis. Thanks to this technology, McLaren has been able to obtain records with an accuracy of up to a tenth of a second, which has allowed the engineers to adjust the car's setup based on detailed and reliable information. This precision in data collection is essential to understand the true performance of each team and to detect areas for improvement before the start of the season. Another key aspect of the simulation was the uniformity in the test conditions. All the teams ran their simulations with the same initial fuel load and without refueling, which eliminated any advantage derived from a progressive reduction in the weight of the car. This allowed the observed performance differences to be due exclusively to aerodynamic efficiency, engine power and tire management, ruling out any other external factors that could distort the results. In terms of tire management, the simulations also revealed important differences. While Ferrari showed a relatively contained degradation of 0.034 seconds per lap, McLaren and Red Bull recorded values of 0.049 seconds. Although this might seem like an advantage for Ferrari in terms of tire conservation, the reality is that it was not enough to compensate for its deficit in speed and race pace. The 24-second gap to McLaren at the end of a full distance shows that lower degradation is not decisive if the overall pace of the car is not competitive. Analysis of this data makes it clear that McLaren has made a significant step forward with the MCL39. Its superior top speed, race pace close to that of Red Bull and its ability to extract maximum performance from the tires confirm that the team has made a remarkable evolution compared to last season. Ferrari, on the other hand, seems to have stagnated in a middle point where its tire management is efficient, but its overall performance does not allow it to compete at the level of the best teams on the grid. The information gathered in Bahrain represents a strong indication of what could be seen in the season. Although there is still one day of testing left, the data obtained so far suggests that McLaren is ready to challenge the teams at the top of the grid and that Ferrari needs to find urgent solutions if it wants to stay in the fight for the top positions.